Hello everyone and welcome to another video, and in this video I'm just going to be talking about a great friend of mine who unfortunately recently passed away, and he was a fantastic chess player as well. So we'll have a look at a couple of his games quite quickly, and at the end I'll chat about some stories I can share with him. Adam Hunt. Adam, about the same age as me, a year younger maybe, was an international master from England. He had a sister who was also an international master, Harriet, and a chess playing family, and a very clever family. He often told me he was the only person in the family not to be a doctor. Everyone else in the family, mum, dad, sister, brother, were all doctors in different pursuits. And doing extremely well, as Adam did in his life. But again, we'll talk more about his life a little bit later on. He died unfortunately of cancer, horrible illness, which he fought very bravely for a long time. And I think the hardest thing, before we do have a look at his game, is his family, and his wife Polly, who lots of love I'll pass on to, and obviously his young son Henry, who I think believes only like 5 or something like that, who he leaves behind, which is incredibly sad. And I know he'd be wishing them a lot of love and wants them to have a good future. So we'll pass that on to them, and hope they have a great future as best they can without the great man. Yeah, I haven't done this video for a while. It's a bit hard actually, because he was a very close friend. But let's have a look at one of his games. So Adam always bloody destroyed me when I played him. I played him as a kid, he beat me. I played him as an adult, he beat me. And him and his sister, to be fair, had a great score against me. He was a phenomenal attacking player, and he should have been a GM, but he did more teaching later on in his life. In his first game, he's playing against Fedorchuk, 2600 player. And I'm not going to analyse these games too much. We're going to just go through the moments and just show how he played. And this was a fantastic win that Adam had when he was playing a bit more. Like I said, he turned to coaching at Woodbridge School a bit later on in his life, a bit more of a secure income. And he was a great coach, inspiring many people. And he loved playing the open Sicilian as white. And we go into an open Sicilian here, which starts with the move d4. This leads to some of the most interesting positions, where after the exchange here, black has potentially the better pawn structure, but white has more space and more pieces developed. So it's often a case of white trying to checkmate black. Black now develops his knight. You can't push on because there's a check and capturing the pawn, so you lose a pawn. So you have to defend this pawn. So the knight develops, and now d6. And this is, I believe, called the Keres variation. I'm not an expert on this by any means. I've tried playing this position with the knight on g8 and the pawn on a6 before, because I know the sharpest line here, maybe this is the Keres. Again, I'm not actually very good with names. I'm good with ideas in most positions, but not names. And here, the main idea that white often plays is throwing the G pawn up the board. That's why I've tried to experiment with this position with a pawn on a6 and not developing the knight here. But Adam plays bishop e3, and this is actually, I believe, called the English attack, this setup, where white basically, this is a great way. If you want to learn a system against Sicilian, you can learn this setup with the queen coming to d2, castles, and then you throw your pawns up the board. Super aggressive, and Adam loved attacking. He was a brilliant, like I say, attacking player. He destroyed me so many times, and he always came straight at you, so it was quite intimidating to play him. I mean, I'm similar, but I don't play as sharp openings. And with white, he was, well, when you're playing on the black side and he's white, he was pretty terrifying to face because he could beat anyone. And now in this position, Black developed sensibly. Adam took control and developed a piece, the g4 square. Black starts his queenside play. And now Adam starts to castle, so this is all very standard stuff. Black puts the queen on a good square. And now Adam plays an interesting move here, a3, and this is aimed, I guess, at b5, b4. So quite a unique idea there. And now Black goes b5, and like I said, we'll go through the moves quite quickly. We get to the exciting stuff. They castle on opposite sides. f3, supporting the centre. You can see how this pawn is aimed at holding off the advanced b4. Bishop b7, Black finishes the development, and now Adam starts his attack. A typical Sicilian position, which Adam played also brilliantly, where White just comes over here and Black tries to come over here, and it's a race and a lot of fun to play. Black develops, and now g5. Tempo is so important in these positions. I mean, look at a lot of Macau Tao's games if you want to learn how to attack, and this is quick, it's fast, and it's good. And now h4. So White just trying to steamroll through, and this is a very typical idea, this pawn storm, where you try to open up your opponent's king with your pawns. Black now tries this move, but now we can see how this little pawn helps, because yes, Black opens up a file towards the king, but it just seems like White's pretty solid here with this kind of structure. And now h5, the storm keeps coming. Rook to c8, so maybe now this square can be used for a piece, and Black is desperately trying to get counterplay. Adam, very calm, puts his king on this square, maybe avoiding potentially a knight there or a queen coming in. And rook to b8. And I like these moves, calm as you like. Knight comes back to b3, just safety first. This move is going to come, as it does, but he blocks up all the files first. And with this move, really, it's clear that White is doing some dangerous stuff. In this position, though, you know, whenever you're in these double-edged positions, you've got to realise how urgent the situation is. And Black now makes a horrendous move by opening up the H-file, which I don't understand at all by such a strong player as 26-35 Fedorchuk. He actually should be looking for a tactical resource, and I'm not, you know, I think it's okay for White here, but there is a much better idea. When your position is clearly looking scary, look for those resources. And the move knight takes c2 was certainly the move that should have been tried here. And there's some tactics of the bishop coming here and the queen coming here, but as so often in chess, you miss one opportunity and it goes downhill. And now Adam gets this h-file. One typical idea here would be to get this bishop out the way, check, and bring the queen around. Let's just show that in a very silly way. So let's say Black now takes here, you take here, and now Black now takes here. Well, rook to h8 check, and this is a theme that you should all know. Queen check. Now Black has to block with the bishop, but that's still losing. And if he comes here, he'll get checkmated like this. So after this move, Black took here, and this is where Adam really in his element. Bishop d4, calmly building up and attacking. Threatening bishop takes g7 and queen here, and also defending. A brilliant piece. Black tries to defend, but now the queen dives in. And again, Black really should try some sacrifice here, but he goes back into defensive mode, and now e5, opening up the position. The knight dives in, queen g4, finding another target to attack. The queen defends, and now queen h3, and it's clear here that the Black king is really in a lot of trouble. The king tries to run away, but White opens up more lines by capturing on d6. And after bishop here, bishop takes here, Knight takes, knight e4. A tremendous move here, finding good squares to the knight. And if black takes the knight, we have an open f-file to attack the king along. So good controlled aggression by Adam. Black tries to start his counter-attack, but these situations is often just a race scenario. And now white comes in with a first check. The king comes back, and there's a lot of good moves here, but knight takes e6 is as good as any. This check would have been met by knight here. And after this move, again, there's a lot of good moves, but Adam goes for the clinical knight to c5. A beautiful formation, I hope you agree, of pieces here. And now this check is a big threat, so black's next move is forced. For example, if the queen moves anywhere, we can go check, and if the king goes here, now the other knight comes in with check, the king goes here, and this is a beautiful way to finish the game. So black goes rook takes c5, and like I said, Adam was very clinical in his play. He was very good at all areas of the game, but mainly he had sharp openings, and they were backed up by very good middle game play. He was brilliant middle game play. He outplayed me as a junior so many times in the middle game, and then very good end game play. He was an all-round good player, but he loved the attacking games. And now queen takes here, rook takes here, and after the knight moves, well, Adam, if we just have a look at the situation, is basically a rook for a knight up, so he's the exchange up, but also this pawn is pretty much unstoppable. So the end of the game is nigh. And we'll show it very quickly. Adam just grabs some more pawns, and here you still have to be accurate against such a strong player, but a beautiful bishop controlling that very strong pawn. Black's got to rely on tricks here, and Adam doesn't fall for any tricks, and black resigns in this position because the pawn is coming through, and if the king comes here, this is a very nice way to finish. So just a very nice game there by Adam against a very strong player, Fedorchuk, and he just took him apart, tore him apart in his favourite Sicilian. Now, I do have one more game to show you. Maybe we'll show that a little bit later, but let's just talk a bit about Adam, I think, as well. You know, I don't want to make this video too long, but I first met Adam, you know, when I was very young. You know, I'm 45 now, and probably around the age of 7, we played the same tournaments, and I didn't get really good until I was like 12, 13, which is too old by nowadays levels. But all those junior years, Adam was ferocious on the junior circuit, him and his sister, and he told me many times that he really it spurred him on trying to beat his sister, trying to get better results than his sister, and I think their competitive nature helped them a great deal. The same with the Pert twins, Nick and Richard Pert in England, who are both, well, I say both grandmasters. Richard's not, but he should be. They were spurred on by the rivalry, and rivalry does help. But Adam was, like I say, a ferocious attacker. So I knew him on the chess circuit, and we played many tournaments together and became very good friends when we were very young. And then I ended up going to Sussex University. I don't know, I was about 20 years old. I had a year off before going there. I ended up going there, and Adam also went to the same university as me, so we also were friends at university all those years. And I had a bit of a rough time there at one point. My housemate unfortunately passed away, my best friend at the time, and because I couldn't afford to pay the rent for him as well, and you're stuck into a contract, I ended up having to sleep in my car and wherever I could when I was at university. So I was at university sleeping in my very small Fiesta at night time in the back for quite a long period of time, and Adam found out about this, and he let me crash at his house on many occasions, and he always made me a nice cup of English breakfast tea in the morning, which I remember very fondly. Having an English breakfast down at Sussex University down in Brighton, and we'd often travel for NCL in my Fiesta, my home, together. And I remember beating Peter Wells there one day, and we'd we'd have many adventures on our way to the Forum CL and at university, as you do at university, especially in Brighton. So I was having a bit of a rough time, but Adam very kindly looked after me very, very well in those years. And let's now show another game of Adam's, and this was a draw he had. But I remember, I think it was at Gibraltar. I remember we were there together, and he was showing me this game afterwards, and he was very pleased with this game because he's playing Ivanchuk, the legend. And you may have seen one of my previous games on this channel where I played an isolated pawn position. Well, I wish I'd played it like Adam had played it here. And we start off with a Caracal, and we now have the Panoff variation, which leads to isolated pawn positions. So what I mean by that is that when these pawns get exchanged, which they invariably will do, and they do here, you have that white has the isolated pawn. And this generally means that white is the one trying to attack, but black is trying to play against the isolated pawn. So someone has experienced that Ivanchuk must have been very happy here because he thought, I've got an imbalance in position and I can play against this pawn. But he wasn't aware of Adam's aggressive attacking nature. And after castles, the bishop comes here. This is white's main idea, attacking this one. White castles. Black brings his bishop back to defend some squares. And we saw this idea in the game that I played. White plays his rook here. I think I had this position. I set the bishop was on c1. Bishop comes here. And now the first sign of aggression from Adam. It looks like this pawn's in trouble. But he just plays knight e4, offering the pawn. Very exciting idea. He wasn't afraid to gambit and take risks in his chess, was Adam. And the bishop took on d4, and now Adam just flew through his pieces towards Chucky's king. And this must have been a little bit unsettling for Chucky. Who is this young international master from England trying to take me down? I'm 2700 Chucky. He's attacking me. That's not on. So g6 blunted up that diagonal, but now Adam eliminates that bishop, and his next move, kapow! Knight takes h7, and of course Adam playing against a legend like Ivanchuk is happy with a draw, and he wants to do it in style. You can play this position on maybe as white as well, but you know, let's just show how the game ends. It's quite amusing. You have to take this one, and the whole point is the queen now flies in with check, and it still looks quite dangerous. Maybe with a rook coming around, the bishop's coming in. A great move this. And if the king comes to this square, then basically black is losing after check. And now if the king comes back, we do the same thing in the game, but the queen can come into g7. So the king goes back to g8, and now bishop takes g6. And here, well, this is threatened. This is a brilliant way to attack. And I think this is the right way to play because you're guaranteed a draw. But when you play this, you might find a way to win at the end of the calculations. What I mean by that, if this move's played, which is I think the move Adam might have been expecting, after check here, you can, of course, take the draw. But you might be able to play on for a win. Maybe there's a rook e4 with the idea of check and checkmate. Or the bishop coming over and the rook coming here, checkmate. So this is very dangerous, this kind of idea, at least for Chucky. So Chucky finds the good move, and the only move, knight to f6, attacking the queen, defending h7. Without this move, Chucky would have been lost. And now the queen comes in, and now he takes here, check, and king h8. And here it looks like, well, what's white doing? Because if you check, the knight comes back, and this doesn't help. It actually allows black to put a piece on f6 and defend. And Adam comes up with a very interesting attacking move, bishop c3. So it's not an easy draw by any means. The bishop lines up, the rook is ready to come in, and this looks incredibly dangerous for black. This rook may be coming around as well. But Chucky finds a way out of this tricky position with the quite astonishing knight to f3 check. And the point being, if you take here, then there's a counter. Rook g8. And if you take on f6, queen takes. And you can't take the queen because of the pin. Tactics everywhere. Imagine having such a fun game against a legend like Chucky. The knight comes into f3, so you have to move the king out of the way. And now after knight takes e1, because you're running out of pieces, the sensible choice is now to take the draw, because the difference being the knight is pinned, and after the checks, there's no way that the draw can be blocked because that knight is in a pin. So another fascinating draw, showing again two great players of the game playing. So yeah, I'm just going to share a couple more stories now if you want to know a bit more about Adam, and a couple of pictures that I found. I wish I'd saved pictures. We didn't have mobile phones back in Sussex University days, or before then, and you know, so photos are a bit lacking, unfortunately, which is a bit sad, but I do have some more recent photos. Now, photo 1 is a photo I found online, and you can see Adam as a youngster here. I think that must be Nicholas Pert, two of the most talented English juniors at the Lloyds Bank Masters. And Adam, another ginger, so we had that in common, and was, like I said, one of the most talented juniors around. And you know, had he really concentrated, could have you know, really done a lot more, and become a GM. Now the second photo is his. Well, he decided to become a coach at Woodbridge School, quite a posh school over in Suffolk, which gave him a stable income. He was well loved. He was a coach not just there, but for English British juniors, and I know he did a fantastic job being a full-time coach there. So he'd be remembered for all the coaching that he did there. Now this is actually a photo from his stag do, which I went on. We went to the races, and we're in the back of a limousine there. Very happy day where he got married to Polly, and he's enjoying some champagne, and there's some of his friends, non-chess players. And lastly, we were very lucky. This is this year, earlier in the year. By this stage, Adam's cancer, he had it for about 7 years, and it was on and off, his cancer. And I remember he told me when I was at the Isle of Man, I was at Jersey competition. I was very upset when I heard the news. And he fought it, it went away, it came back again. And it was around this stage this year when he told me it'd come back in quite a bad way. But then he said, well, look, and this is a sign of his spirit that, you know, I want to do something. I want to go to Vegas. And he goes, look, man, I want you to come with me. Out of everyone, I'd love to go to Vegas with you. And I was like, well, you know, I'd love to go, but it's quite expensive to go and stuff. And he goes, well, look, I've got some air miles. It's all cool. I can help you out. So his generous self. And we went over to Vegas. We stayed basically at Venetian, and that's us on our flight on the left-hand side. And we stayed there for about 5 nights in Vegas, and we had a fantastic time there. And I suppose that's some of my more recent memories, so we should mention them. And even though he was on heavy cancer medication, he was partying. You know, it didn't affect him. Very positive outlook, and we can all learn a hell of a lot from the way he looked at life. You know, stuff comes up all the time that's pretty horrendous for all of us. You know, and we've got to become better people, which I certainly know, and I'm sure everyone else knows, and try to just grow and be positive, and you know, ignore those, whatever it is, the horrendous people, the bad stuff, and just be a better person. And that's what he did all the time, even though he had this terrible case. As you can see, you know, you can see his skin was quite bad over there, and he was still playing poker. We destroyed the Venetian poker room, taking money off everyone. We gave up blackjack after a day or two because blackjack was just too hard. Poker, more skilled, and that's what we're doing. We're going there, sitting there, having our cocktails, taking everyone's money, and I remember one funny story. I was like, look, we're at the Venetian. Let's just eat anywhere. I want to eat some nice food. And Adam loved the deal. And he was like, Simon, I've got some vouchers for a cheap Italian meal. And I'm like, look, Adam, can't we just eat somewhere around here, mate? Because then we can have a beer, we can eat some food, we can get partying. He's going, but I've got some vouchers, Si. I've got some vouchers. It's like 20% off. It's just a little taxi ride. It looks like a lovely Italian. I'm like, look, okay, mate. If you really want to, let's go and have an Italian. So we got in a taxi. About half an hour it took us to like an abandoned car park where there was a weird little Italian restaurant where we're the only people in there. It looked like we're going to get shot in this car park as we're going in. It was quite dark, and but we got our 20% off. Thanks, Adam. And then when we got out, we're a little bit what the hell. We're like, oh my god, are we going to get mugged here? Because it was literally a abandoned car park with some rather unsavoury people walking around, and our taxi did not appear for about 45 minutes. So all for his bloody voucher. So cheers, Adam, for that experience, that little voucher experience. And yeah, we had a great adventure in Vegas. It was amazing fun, and a brilliant trip away. And I'd love to go back again personally. Unfortunately, Adam won't be able to join me. And I saw him maybe 3-4 weeks ago in Ipswich Hospital when the cancer spread to his liver and spine. And unfortunately, he was pretty much disabled then. But he was still in great spirits. And we sat in the hospital and we played a bit of poker on his computer, which was lovely. And unfortunately passed away quite soon after that. So, yeah, important to remember great people. And Adam was certainly a great person. And it's important to remember the good things and everything they do. And he did many amazing things, and will be fondly remembered by everyone who met him. It's impossible not to remember him fondly. From those late nights at the 4NCL, to those amazing meals at the British, to the love and care he gave to everyone. And, I give a lot of love to all his family, Polly and his son, Henry, and also his other, his mum, dad and sister and brother, who he spoke of very fondly as well, and all of his friends as well. So let's remember him fondly. And whenever you're attacking in the Sicilian, maybe raise a glass to Adam as you do so. And cheers. I'll put a link below to a video where actually he was commentating, so you can see him, and he was commentating on, I was playing his sister in a competition, and you can watch his commentary. He commentated on the British Championship, so if you want to see him live commentating and remember him that way, then you can go and do that. But cheers. And yeah, life can be pretty rough at times, but let's remember the good bits.